Alright, so what is up, bros? So, we know that we are going to have a Nintendo Direct coming up soon. And as of the time of this recording, I do not know if that time has been finalized yet. Hopefully, it will be finalized soon, and we're going to get that announcement early in the morning, Tuesday, Wednesday, and finally know when this new Nintendo Direct is coming. Because honestly, if it doesn't come soon, I don't think we're getting a Direct till September, so it better be coming soon. So I've got a few predictions I'm making here of what I believe we are going to see in the next upcoming Nintendo Direct. So, let me just say what I think this Direct overall is going to be. I feel it could take two formats. The first way it could be is just one big Direct. The one big Direct way will probably start with some Nintendo stuff, then segue into a bunch of third-party games, like a ton of third-party games. And then we're gonna like segue back into a little bit of Nintendo stuff near the end. And I think that would be the format if you're gonna do one direct. Another possibility I think is maybe like a half hour to 40-minute direct of mostly just first party Nintendo stuff. And then a partner showcase that's like just a big partner showcase. I'm talking like anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour of just third party stuff coming to Nintendo Switch. Here's some special stuff for the Nintendo Switch version, that sort of thing. So I think that it will go one of those two routes. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to just describe what I think the first version would be of just one big direct of both Nintendo and third party stuff. And, you could just imagine if it was split into two things, how it would go. Not so different, just a choice of how they choose to distribute that information. So without any further ado, let me get into it. So I think that this Nintendo Direct is going to start up with Metroid Prime 4, because I believe Metroid Prime 4 is coming soon. It is coming in the next 2 to 3 months. I believe we very likely are getting a September release date for Metroid Prime 4, something that would feel like a birthday present for me, being a September guy. I would love to see Metroid Prime 4 come out in September, and I think it just makes sense. August, we have that Dragon Drive game. It kind of feels too soon to just all of a sudden it's coming out in August. It just doesn't feel right to do that. It feels like you got to give people like 1-2 months to kind of get accustomed to this idea that Metroid Prime 4 is coming. And specifically in the trailer that I think we're going to see in this Nintendo Direct, I think that Nintendo is going to show us a side of Metroid Prime 4 that we haven't seen yet. I think we are going to see Metroid Prime 4's kind of gameplay catch. We saw a little bit of the psychic powers that Samus gets in this new game, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and I think they're going to go a little bit deeper into it, and there's probably, much like it was the case with Bonanza and, say, Tears of the Kingdom, the thing about Metroid Prime 4 that people don't remember, this game has been in development for like 6 years if you consider it that it first started like failed development, then development was rebooted in 2019. This thing's been cooking for 6 years. Nintendo has put a lot of money and man hours, and they've hired people for this game. They clearly really believe this game could probably be the biggest Metroid game ever. What that translates to into sales, I would like to see the Metroid series have a game break above 5 million sales. I think that would be really good for like first year. But sky's the limit. Who knows how big this thing could go? So I think there's going to be some gameplay loop. I'm not a Nintendo game designer, so I couldn't tell you what that is, but something about this game is going to feel different. What I think they should do, put some parries, put like the grappling, some mechanics from Doom Eternal, some melee stuff, air dashes, little stuff like that, and then something that makes this game distinctly Metroid Prime 4. Something that no other game has that's kind of like the reason why Metroid Prime 4 Beyond should stand out gameplay-wise from another first-person adventure game. So I think we're going to see a little bit of that in this trailer. And we're probably also going to get a direct announced for Metroid Prime 4 coming at a later date. Maybe they won't announce it here, but I do believe we're going to get a Metroid Prime 5 direct. Second thing that's going to be coming in this new direct, we need to see some real gameplay. Some real gameplay, not just a CG trailer. We need to see some real gameplay of Kirby Air Riders, what this game is going to look like. I'm expecting it's going to look very polished. It's going to look very smooth. It's going to run possibly 120 FPS. I'm not sure if that's something that's going to happen. Masahiro Sakurai, one of the greatest game designers at Nintendo. I think whatever this man wants to cook up, I believe in him. I'm thinking Kirby Air Riders could be a game that's played in like 120 FPS or as a 120 FPS mode. We know that like Sakurai likes these on-rail shooter types of games like Kid Icarus Uprising, another game that honestly should get a Switch 2 remake. Now that we have mouse mode. Kirby Air Riders, again, this might be another game with mouse mode. And I think this game is probably going to have a bunch of new characters in the game, and each character is going to have their own way of riding, their own thing that they're riding, not just like Kirby and a star. So I think that's why it's called Air Riders. That's why there was the S at the end of that trailer. So I think we're going to see a better look at this game, and I think we're also going to hear that it's coming early 2026. And yeah, they said 2025. They're going to be like, sorry, we don't think it can come out this year. It's coming early 2026. Most of us were very iffy on believing whether this game was coming in 2025. Who knows? Maybe it is coming in 2025. I really don't know. So then what I think is going to happen is we're going to get more Switch 2 editions announced, because this is one of the best features of the Nintendo Switch 2 is these upgraded versions of Switch 1 games. I think two of the ones that I would really like to see Switch 2 editions that I think personally make sense is Xenoblade X and Pikmin 4. These are two very recent games. These are games where you could add, say, mouse support for Pikmin 4. You could really add a lot more assets and textures to Xenoblade X. Give it some of those like world exploring Nintendo app features the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have. There's a variety of things you could do, but these are two very recent big budget Nintendo games that came out in the last year or two. I think it makes sense to have Switch 2 editions of these, show how much better, especially particularly a game like Xenoblade X. Obviously, Pikmin 4 will benefit in its own way too. The mouse controls will help that game a lot, running at a much better, smoother frame rate and resolution. Xenoblade X, that being a big open world game, I'm sure that the Switch 2, the processing and graphics power it has, are going to benefit that game immensely. Both games, it would be great to see them in 4K 60. So yeah, I think those two games are probably getting the Switch 2 edition treatment, and the Switch 2 edition treatment. It always feels like they're adding something more to the game, maybe some more content, in little ways, but generally it's kind of like a big upgrade. It's like we're gonna add a lot bigger textures. There's gonna be it's got to feel like it's worth that $15 or whatever it is, right? It's got to feel like it's worth that little extra money that they're going to charge you for it. So those games, I'm sure they could come up with ways to make it worth a Switch 2 edition upgrade. Pikmin 4, in particular, it's a mere Miyamoto game. I think it needs that little upgrade. Xenoblade, and all the Xenoblade games for that matter, I would love for them to get some upgrades. I think they deserve it. I'm not sure if it's going to be Switch 2 edition, but we'll see. So then something that I think might happen is we might see the Smash symbol all of a sudden appear, and then we hear that there's a Switch 2 edition of Smash Ultimate. And it might have new stages, much better assets, and like maybe just fix those loading screens that loaded like way too fast. And I'm thinking we might get a new fighter pass too. What character would be the new character? Who knows? Maybe Elma from Xenoblade X, possibly like I'm trying to think. Maybe like Echoes of Wisdom Zelda or something. I'm not even sure. I think they would stick to mostly first-party Nintendo characters, because I don't know if they want like more licenses for characters in this game. That, or we may not get much of anything for Smash. It would be nice to have that game upgraded a little bit in terms of resolution and frame rate, but for all I know, Nintendo's game plan might be yank the cord on Smash Ultimate. You know, online is going to stay on for a while, but they're going to like stop making new content for that game and just focus on the next Smash Brothers, whatever that is, with like Bonanza DK and Tears of the Kingdom Link, and you know, there might just be a brand new Smash Brothers game coming up sooner than we think. For now, I do hope that the next Smash Brothers is further away down the line. I think Smash Ultimate is a great game. People love this game. It has like several waves of new, like 2 waves of new characters. We could get another wave of new characters. I think Nintendo should let this game have a Switch 2 life as well. You're selling GameCube controllers now. Like, I would say just ride out the Smash Ultimate wave, but Nintendo, we do not know what they're going to do. We do not know if the next Smash game is around the corner. They might be very deep in the development of that for all we know, so we just got to see about that one. But an update on Smash Ultimate for Switch 2, I think that would be a good thing to have in the Nintendo Direct as well. So I think another thing they might do in this Direct is just announce a bunch of Switch games, Switch 1 games getting upgraded, because there's so many that could use the upgrade. Just some that I wrote down here: Mario Wonder, all 3 Bayonetta games, all 3 Xenoblade games, Astral Chain, Tropical Freeze, the Fire Emblem games, 3 Houses and Engage, Mario Maker 2. You might not need a Switch 2 edition for that. Just upgrading the resolution and stuff, and then adding some mouse controls in there, because that totally makes sense for Mario Maker. I think that makes sense. I think that's a good way of integrating the mouse functionality of the Switch 2. We see now Mario Paint is now available on the Switch Online, and yeah, like that game now on Super Nintendo is incorporating the mouse controls of the Switch 2. So, yeah, like, after all this stuff, after this, like, little bit of announcement about first-party Nintendo stuff, that's when I think Nintendo is going to be like, and here's all the third-party crap, and all the third-party games that have been waiting to announce their Switch 2 ports are just going to be paraded out there. Elden Ring Tarnished Edition, like, oh my god, Monster Hunter Wilds, incredibly crappy running Switch 2 edition. Like, oh, the third-party games are going to come marching out, and I personally will not care about them, because I'm here for the Nintendo games. Those third-party games, I'm buying them on PC. But, yeah, they have to do it. Third parties are a very important part of the whole console sales thing, so Nintendo's going to parade out those third parties, and we might get a solid like 20-25 minutes of just third parties. Capcom, Bandai Namco, like all these friggin' companies are going to come out with, and now we have these games on the Switch too. Like, and to be fair, man, there are so many games that would benefit immensely. Like, we're going to want to see more of Final Fantasy VII Remake on Switch 2, and I don't know how soon Rebirth is coming. Might see stuff like Resident Evil 4 Remake, these Resident Evil Remake games. There's all sorts of possibilities. These Xbox games, like Hi-Fi Rush, like Persona 3, Metaphor. I'm just trying to even, like, look up and think of games. Armored Core 6 Switch 2 Edition. Yeah, the third parties then are going to be marching out. But after that, then it's going to be, after the third party parade is over, it's going to be like, alright, now we're back to Nintendo stuff. And they're going to announce this Fire Emblem remake that we keep hearing about. Genealogy of the Holy War Echoes or whatever. We're finally going to get this, finally a remake of Fire Emblem. I believe it's 4, Genealogy of the Holy War. Personally, I like the Switch Fire Emblem games that we got, but I seriously would have liked a game that has child breeding. So a game that has genealogy in the title, yeah, I like that, man, because I know people get weird about the child raising in Fire Emblem. Guys, if you haven't played Awakening, or you haven't played Conquest, or Fire Emblem Fates, I should say, if you guys haven't played these games, the child units are the strongest units, man. You take a very strong father and a very strong mother, and then you make an overpowered child, and you can just start steamrolling those Fire Emblem games. That's why I love the child units, and it's fun to just see the different pairings, like how a child unit ends up getting traits of both the mother and the father, so I would be very excited for that, a full-blown Fire Emblem game with kids, Genealogy of the Holy War. I would be excited for that. That would be a day one for me. Or possibly, like, I don't know, the next non-Fire Emblem strategy game from Intelligent Systems. Like, is there another Advance Wars coming? Something else in, like, the War series, or something entirely new, some sci-fi strategy thing from Intelligent System? Who knows? Personally, I could use a little bit more Fire Emblem, man. I'll never be upset over a new Fire Emblem game, alright? I'll never be upset over another Fire Emblem character in Smash, alright? I'm that guy. So then, after that, again, this Direct didn't have too much first-party stuff. You know, we got Metroid Prime 4, first look at Kirby Air Riders, and also this Fire Emblem remake announced. So it's not, well, as well as Switch 2 editions, upgrades for Switch 1 games. So it's like a fair bit of Nintendo stuff. And then probably Shinya Takahashi, or maybe one of these new younger guys who are working on the Switch 2 team, are going to come out and be, thank you so much to our customers for making this Nintendo Switch 2 the fastest selling console ever, and we couldn't have done it without your support, and da-da-da-da, and we hope you enjoyed Bonanza and Mario Kart World, da-da-da-da, thank you so much, arigato gozaimasu, yeah. So then, after that, then they're going to be like, oh yeah, thank you for watching the Direct. Oh, one more thing, you know, the classic, it's a Nintendo Direct, man, you gotta have that one more thing. It's not a Nintendo Direct without that one more thing, and this is what I think is the one more thing. Okay, so we're going to see something like, we're going to see Mario coming out of a glass pipe and start running around in like a 3D world type world. But then all of a sudden a cursor is going to come out and start grabbing things and replacing enemies with other stuff, building more pipes, all this sort of thing. And then he's going to go from like a 3D world type area to like a Bowser's Fury type big open stage. And then he's going to go to another area that's like Mario 64. With Mario 64 graphics, and then he's going to jump into another stage with like Odyssey type stage, and he's wearing Cappy. And then eventually the trailer is going to result with Mario turning Cappy into like a construction hat, and then we're going to see the number 3 over his head. And then the camera is going to pan all of a sudden, and we're going to see right next to the 3 is a D. And then the title card comes out for that big holiday Nintendo game that we know is coming, and the title of the game is Super Mario Maker 3D. We're going to get the first official look at that 40th anniversary of Mario logo, and we're going to at least know with certainty there is a big holiday game coming, and that game is Mario 3D Maker, which is a new game that lets you make 3D Mario levels in the style of either 64, Sunshine, I don't know if they could do Galaxy even, or like Odyssey, or 3D World. And it's going to let you build the stage almost the same way they build the stages at Nintendo. And this is going to be the next evolution of Mario Maker, is actually letting people make their own 3D levels. And it's going to be like the next 3D Mario. There's probably going to be a story type mode for this game, but the next 3D Mario game may be a little bit, because they're going to kind of put out this 3D Maker game and be like, you guys just do whatever you want with this, make like insane 3D Mario levels and have Ryukar or somebody else stream them online, and you guys can just have fun with that for a while. And the next real mainline Mario, well, you know, our man DK kind of stole Mario's thunder for a minute, so it may be a little while before that next real, like, mainline Mario. Maybe another year or so. But that's what I think is coming. Shadow drops. It would be dope if we... I'm not going to get my hopes up, but it would be dope if we got some shadow drops of possibly things like Metroid Prime 2 or 3, or shadow drop of Mario Galaxy 2. Some of these, like, Wii type games, like Wii U type games, old games remastered, like Twilight Princess. If you could make like a remastered version of these types of games and then shadow drop them out of nowhere, that would be pretty cool. And I would have my wallet ready for that one. But I'm not gonna get my hopes up because I don't know. I don't want to get disappointed, so I will not get my hopes up. Only thing I do think is gonna happen for sure is we are getting a Nintendo Direct soon, and I guess we'll see if any of the things that I'm saying here actually happen. We gotta get a release date for Prime 4. That one is like the freebie on the bingo card, man. We gotta get this release date for Metroid Prime 4. Anyways, guys, I'm Mike Muhammad. This has been my Switch 2 Direct prediction video. Thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoy this video, like and subscribe for more videos like this, and I'm going to try to do my best to cook up some more gaming videos for you guys. Thanks for watching.